This is the Sluggo. Slant and go.
Georgia Tech, Florida State.
If you're going to ruin this show by doing research,
Notre Dame.
my dentist is a Notre Dame grad.
Definitely smells.
Casey the Beef Cregan. It smells like week 22 on the Sluggo Show. What's happening tonight in West Orange, New Jersey?
We had a beautiful day, about 70 degrees. Slider and I went to the park. We are really enjoying this Indian summer, I guess, what they call it, right? Yeah, but we had about 20 minutes of sunshine, so we went right down to the park, and so it was beautiful day today. Glad to be back here tonight talking college football, and we got a great guest coming on with us too.
Yeah, we got a great guest coming up, and we'll hold that for just a minute. But I was wondering how you liked my shirt.
We're keeping that up. We're keeping it up. The Wichita Wingnuts. I love it.
Well, if there's a defunct minor league independent baseball team, I think I got their shirt. So,
well, then I'm gonna have to go looking for Newark Bears, which was an independent team too. I'm rocking the Common Bond Brewers shirt tonight. That's not the Brewers like the baseball team. Fellow Clemson alum Andrew McNally, class of 1998, I believe, started the first craft brewery in Montgomery, Alabama. That's right, the first craft brewer in the state of Alabama, and it's thriving down there. So I thought I would wear the shirt. It's not another team, but it is Common Bond, and he's got a great slogan, share a common bond.
Very cool, very cool. We always want to shout out those Clemson guys. They don't get enough love, especially on this show. Hey, and it's show number 22. 22 means something to me because that was the age I graduated high school. No, just kidding.
Very cool.
I wore 22 in high school. There are actually pictures around here, which I've shown to Parker. Parker's my 14-year-old son, for those who don't know, that I've shown to Parker of me wearing number 22, playing center field for the St. Andrews Rocks. That's another defunct school, the St. Andrews Parish High School Rocks. Now, that was also my number in basketball, but you'll probably see more pictures of the Loch Ness Monster than me wearing 22 in basketball because I had my warm-up jersey on that never came off, right?
Right. That's the namesake, right?
That's what Seldom Used Reserve, because that's what they called me on the radio. We'll have to tell that story. That's probably a summertime story, and I know you got some we want to get into also, but 22 is my number that I wore. And it's funny because Parker's playing YMCA ball last year. I was like, if you can get number 22, and they're giving out like 78 and 84, and I was like, what are you doing, man? This I have number 84 about. They had crazy numbers in the 90s, all kinds of crazy stuff. Hey, I looked at the TV. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, what happened to the referees can only use one hand to call fouls. Maybe I'm just aging myself.
Yeah, I had to explain that to Parker why it only went, 5 and under on the numbers. There's nothing over 55, so they could call the fouls, right? I looked over to my left, Casey, I was going to say, and it's Wednesday night, and there's college football on the screen over here. Maction is in action.
Ready, lights, camera, Maction. And the first play of the Akron game, they went for an onside kick. We called it the other night on Chop and Beef. We needed directional Michigan in our lives, and here we are. We got it. I'm so excited. Look, give me Maction. There's football on for 20 straight days from here. For 20 straight days, college football will be on TV.
Doesn't get much better than that. Hey, last week we talked about your friends, the Wandering Levines, and so I just wanted to follow up on that today and give them a little shout out. So how did that go? Did it work out for them? Did they get anything from the plug we gave them?
They really did. They got a couple from both shows, from Sluggo and from my baby Chop and Beef. So thank you to everyone out there that did buy a book. They're still going to be available, and especially like right now they're selling them off of their website. They are official. They did get a full real deal publisher to publish this book. At some point, I'm sure it'll be on Amazon. But yeah, take a look. WanderingLevines.com, WanderingLavignes.com. A lot of letters.
Wow, you didn't know there was going to be a test, a spelling test on the show tonight. Oh, that's kind of hilarious. Hey, we wanted to, before we get started here with our guest, I see he's in the waiting room.
Nice.
We wanted to thank you to everyone who watches, listens, and participates. We appreciate it. Over on Seldom Used Reserve, Brian David Lee, Sean Flood, and Aaron Kahn are three people that generally like and share our content. We appreciate you very much. All the commenters on the show, and I see you have one out there right now. And of course, it's Nelson. You were first on my list, Nelson. Justin Lineweaver talks and interacts with us a lot. Chad Yarber, a friend of the Beefs, of course. And we just talked about Justin and Patrice Levine. They've interacted quite a bit. And Dave Nelson and Rich Schreiber are some of the names that are familiar to us. And we appreciate each and every one of you, right, Case?
Yes, absolutely. And we would love more. We had a great number this weekend when we did our After the Game show. It was fantastic. Our guests comments a lot too, but we won't ruin that right yet. So yeah, we love it. We love it. Keep them coming. You'll see my face reaction as soon as it pops up on the screen. It's normally because I'm reading what you guys are writing. So keep them coming. We like interacting. We'll answer questions. I'm not saying we're experts by any stretch of the imagination, but we'll give you our opinion because we're good at that.
Yeah, no doubt. You did last week. Let us know in the comments where you're viewing or listening from. This is a lot of fun for us. Because we're talking to each other like we're the only two people in the room, and it's nice to know somebody's out there. We had Alaska last week, not just the Levines. We had someone else from Alaska, which was really cool for us also. And one thing I did want to mention before we get started, I have to get all the plugs in or try and get them all in now. Teespring.com. You can support the show by checking out the t-shirts over there. There's some behind me on the wall. The Sluggo t-shirts, we get a couple $dollars from each sale. We're not getting rich. It does cost money to do this live show, but if you're interested, great. Check it out. If you're not, well, there are other ways to support us, and just keep following and sharing the show. We really, really enjoy that. All right. Our guest today, I'm going to let Casey introduce our guest. Casey, take it away.
Sure, Brandon. Former Clemson offensive lineman Brandon Pilgrim. He was rated the 29th prospect in the state of Georgia, 47th offensive tackle in the nation. Are you ready for these stats?
Wow.
You ready
That's
for these?
Impressive, pal.
He was the number 32 prospect in the state of Georgia by BorderWars.com. He had offers from Clemson, Arkansas, Auburn, Georgia Tech, South Carolina, and Virginia. Played offensive line as a true freshman, redshirted sophomore year. Well, what would have been his sophomore year. Started 23 games, 2006 and 2007. Honorable mention All-ACC and an academic All-American. Even if you weren't, I just said you were, so just deal with it. He is, like Marty said, he is a friend of mine, and a regular commenter on the show. And we really wanted to just have him on because of his experience as a former Clemson Tiger. So, Brandon, how you doing, pal? Welcome into Sluggo.
I'm doing really well. I appreciate you having me.
Of course.
Fun to listen to you guys because obviously I've been on here and commented a couple different times, but I appreciate you having me on. Looking forward to it.
Oh man, no, it's great to have you. We appreciate it because I got some questions for you as a former player. Once we get into the nuts and bolts of the show, let's talk some college football. Now we're going to let our guest go first, Casey. I know you like to jump in. This is your favorite topic for early November, but number one, Brandon, who do you think should be number one? Clemson, Ohio State, or Alabama? Now, I know, obviously, your background and where you're from and who you pull for on Saturdays, but looking at it objectively, a lot of Clemson fans are having trouble losing votes to Alabama and I guess the Heisman Trophy maybe to Justin Fields of Ohio State. But as far as number one, who's your choice right now?
Honestly, I would put Clemson up there, but I'll have a reasoning behind that. If you look at what Alabama's defense did against Ole Miss, now Lane Kiffin's good. Don't get me wrong; he is a good offensive-minded coach. But when you give up that many points, there's obviously holes. Now, Clemson has holes as well, but we're also without our basic quarterback on the defense. So, Skalski's been out the last couple games. Right. So I still have Clemson number one. I would say 1A and 1B, and I guarantee you that there's a bunch of people that would agree with that. I would hope so. But 1A, Clemson, 1B, or number 2, Alabama and Ohio State. Ohio State's close behind. I honestly think there's 3 teams in the country right now that really have a shot to win a national championship, and it drops off. It drops off pretty. I mean, it's pretty steep, and that's why that's where I would rank them right now. We'll see this weekend, but where we stand, that's where I'm at.
Well, I think you just gave a little bit of foreshadowing, Brandon, with maybe how you're thinking here. But I agree with you, and I'm very well documented how much I hate rankings, right? But I feel like this is about the time where now everybody's playing, so I feel like this is the time that we do know we have a good basis. I know it's only 2 weeks into to Big Ten, but we have a good basis of who people are, right? We know what Ohio State is, but holy crap, how much of a drop between number 1 in the Big Ten and number 2. I'm going to argue seriously, Rutgers may be in the top 5 of the Big Ten. Indiana's number 2 team right now, right. Especially save Wisconsin not playing, right?
That's right. Yeah.
But man, there's a huge drop off there. So I'm in kind of a full agreement with you there. I like it. I don't like Alabama, but I like their offense, man, and their defense doesn't really need to. That's the way that they've kind of shifted, right? Nick Saban's mind has been all defense forever, and now they're throwing 50 on them so that the defense can give up 600 yards and still win.
Right, which is wild to think about Alabama doing that.
I haven't seen much Alabama. I haven't watched them because their games are so boring, right? I mean, it's as boring as
this game now.
It was back and forth.
Right.
It's as boring as a Clemson game to a non-Clemson fan, right? You know, it's 52-8 or something or whatever. Hey, Nelson's asking what year Brandon played. It was 2003, 2007, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Just want to make sure. Now, Casey's other favorite topic is the Heisman Trophy early in the season. And we all knew it was going to happen, at least, those of us who thought through it a little bit, and that as soon as Justin Fields started playing, Trevor was going to lose some of the momentum. What's your thought as a former player on what the voting for the Heisman Trophy has become? But to me, it just seems like a popularity contest and not the best player in the nation, really.
I 100% agree with you. What I think it's actually become the good player on the best team. So if your team's good and you're part of that productivity, I really think that's who they go for. They're not going to look at guys. I think off the top of my head, I can't think of the guy's name at Purdue. He's a running back. But as a freshman, he set all kinds of records a couple of years ago. He got no mention because he played for Purdue. But that's just the reality of what we're living in now. But I think it's a popularity contest, 100%. I think that's all. I think that's how it's been probably the past 8-10 years, somewhere around there.
It's kind of like C.J. Spiller, right? You can't. There's no way you can tell me he wasn't the best player in the nation his senior year.
Yeah, the CJ, the prime example. The guy is a freak of an athlete, and he probably beat you in tennis. He'd probably go play golf and beat you.
I know he could beat me in tennis.
Well, I know he could beat me too, but
that's a great way to say it, though.
Athlete. That is exactly that's who CJ is. And I don't know if you ever got a chance to meet him. I know Casey, I think you have a couple times. No, but if you see him, his shoulders, he looks like an offensive lineman from like here up. I mean, his traps come to his earlobes. It is ridiculous. Yeah, the dude, he's a freak.
I forgot you did play with him too.
Yeah.
That was
he's actually only a year or 2 years younger than me. So when I was there, it was actually James Davis. So it was Thunder and Lightning.
Yeah,
it was James Davis
and Reggie,
C.J. Spiller,
and Reggie Merriweather as well,
Reggie,
right?
Yeah, Reggie's a year older than me, so I was kind of in between those three guys, which are all great running backs. Trust me, and athletes.
Well, wasn't that play where CJ was it the Georgia Tech game where he put the brakes on and there was a yard sale at the 40-yard line?
Yeah,
Reggie was the other running back, I believe, in that play too, and met him in the end zone. So that was a mind blown situation because all the years run together, right? I think how long we've been friends, I've been asking you for years who the quarterback was that you played with. But
there was three different. Well, let's see, three different. I had three. It was Will Proctor. No, sorry, four. No, Will Proctor, Charlie Whitehurst, and Cullen Harper. So that was only 3.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a mismatch.
So wait a second, Casey. You guys are friends,
Right.
and you didn't know this man blocked for Thunder and Lightning? What the heck is wrong with you?
We drank a lot during our friendship. So.
We
No,
drank a lot.
I will tell you for the Heisman, I think it's really turned into a farce. CJ Spiller definitely at when his time we had Dos Ocho for Heisman shirts. Locks and I both had them. And then when Deshaun didn't win either, I know Lamar Jackson had a great season and whatever, and he would look like a highlight reel, but when he didn't win, that was a farce, man.
Yeah.
And so ever since, and I don't want to go off the rails here, but I actually, when I lived in Tampa, I lived with not with him, but on the island I lived on was the 1967 Heisman Trophy winner, Harold Hopalong Cassidy from Ohio State. And he would be at the bars. I know it's a common theme here, but he would tell me that it's turned into a farce. And rest in peace. He just recently passed. But I mean, it also comes down to there's so many Ohio State winners, right? So they're going to vote for the Ohio State guy. There's a lot of Oklahoma winners, so they're going to vote for the Oklahoma guy. It becomes ingrained into. And I know the former winners aren't the only voters, but that does. They talk, and those writers are intimidated by former players. So,
and as much as you hate to talk about it early in the season, how many times do we hear that I've already voted for the Heisman and we're only, there's 3 or 4 games left in the season. So that just goes along with it.
Yeah, Casey said that Leonard Fournette won it about middle September the year he won.
right, exactly.
And I don't think he got invited to New York.
It's crazy. Yeah. It's a popularity contest, and unfortunately, that's just how it is now. But it is what it is.
And one more thing I will go with is that I'm okay with Justin Fields jumping Trevor right now, right? But don't use the fact that Trevor missed 2 games, because at the end of the year, they're going to have play. If Ohio State can go unscathed, then Trevor, we assume he's going to be healthy after Notre Dame. We assume, big assumption. But they're going to play the same amount of games. So how can you use the fact that he missed 2 as a negative against him? Now, yes, does he have a Heisman moment against Notre Dame that he's going to miss out on? Sure, but he's got other opportunities to do that as well.
Yeah, well, and it's also too early. It's just too early.
It's for gambling lines, I think.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And it's going to change. I mean, let's face it, in 2 weeks, if Trevor comes out when he comes back to play, if he throws 5 touchdowns, guess what? He's going to jump back in the top. So it's just going to go back and forth, and it's way too early to tell. So.
Way too early.
Way too early. Hey, I know you're a Georgia native, or at least I read that. So I was wondering what your thoughts were on Georgia this year in a 14-3 victory over Kentucky. I thought I was watching a 1972 college football game when I saw that 14-3 score.
When I saw the 14-3 score, the only thing I could think is that their offense has fallen. Georgia's offense has fallen further than I thought they were going to, in my opinion. They have running backs, but you're telling me that because I saw a stat or heard the stat the other day, they only threw the ball maybe 4 or 5 times that game. So you're telling me that you throw the ball 4 or 5 times and you still can only put 14 points up, and you're supposed to have strong run. I mean, you're supposed to have strong running backs and a strong O-lineman or a strong O-line. That something to me is amiss more than just, hey, we have a okay quarterback. But I don't know if it's play calling. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I have no idea.
Don't let your wife throw you off when you're on the
I'll try not to. Trust me.
We are talking with former Clemson offensive lineman Brandon Pilgrim, who's joining us on Slow tonight. Again, Brandon, we appreciate your time. Clemson and Boston College. A lot of injuries on Clemson's end. Obviously, Trevor's out with COVID, but Tyler Davis was out. He's going to be out again this week, I saw earlier. And Skalski's out. We know he's out this week. So what did you think about the game from Boston College? And you're the perfect person. I finally got an expert here I want to ask about, because I've been on this all year. The run blocking.
Okay.
Is it good? Is it bad? Is it up and down? What is it? I don't know enough to know whether I'm full of it or not. So help me out here, Brandon.
I don't know if they've changed the schemes. I don't know if it's now become a zone blocking scheme. I don't know if it's a man or if it's a double team. I don't know. I last game something was off. I don't know what it was, but I also think that Casey knows this. How many defensive linemen at Boston College are 6'6" or 6'5" and 330 pounds? I mean, yeah, I was that size when I played, but you still got to, leverage wins, and you're not going to win on every play. I don't know if they were just jacked up more than our offensive line was for the game. But we definitely struggled a little bit just looking at run blocking, and he would get 2 yards, and you're like, well, man, there's a hole there, but it closed up,
Right.
which is not normal for our O line. And I think I heard earlier in the year, Dabo had mentioned, Coach Sweeney had mentioned something about that. The O-line, this O-line was the best O-line that we've had.
Yes, I heard that too.
Right, yeah, and that to me was to see that last weekend. I'm going to say that it's an anomaly, and they'll look better this week. They'll be jacked up. They'll be under the lights. It's Saturday night. It's primetime football. It's hard. A lot of individuals don't get this, but it is hard to get up for a 12 o'clock game. I promise you. It's hard to get up for a 12
Sounds like you're
game.
speaking from experience there.
I'm speaking from experience.
A lot of numbers back in 03, right?
A lot of Jefferson pilots in 03.
Exactly, yes. Yeah.
Hey,
It's
just
hard.
think about Southern Cal. They're playing at 9 o'clock Saturday morning.
I know. I mean, yeah.
Crazy.
To me, that doesn't make sense. But also, if you're the number one team in the country, why are you playing at 12 noon? Somebody's got to help us out here. 3 o'clock is fine, but 12 noon. You look at USC. How many times did they play at 7 o'clock at night?
Well,
Who were they?
Yeah, in the ACC, that was my big thing a couple of years ago when Clemson was playing on Friday nights. It drove me bananas. I said, would you ever see the SEC put Alabama on a Friday night? The problem was Clemson was the only draw the ACC had, right? And, they had this Friday night game and they wanted people to watch it instead of, I don't know, getting it buried on a Saturday afternoon behind the SEC game, I guess.
But if that's the truth, if Clemson actually is the face of the conference, why are we playing at 12 noon? Play at 3:30. I mean,
3:30 ABC.
Play at 5 o'clock. Play at 6 o'clock. The SEC does it all the time. Their games are at 4 and 6 or whatever the odd times are. Play then. So
it's all about the money, right, guys?
Mm-hmm.
One of the other things I wanted to ask you about as a player, the coaching decisions that happen during the game. I'm just curious about this because fans, we have our opinion, but obviously we didn't. Most of us anyway didn't play at that level or even close to it. But when a coach decides to go for it on 4th and 1 or not go for it on 4th and 1, as Dabo did at the end of the game, both Casey and I were like, well, I wanted him to go for it. It turned out to be the smartest decision he made because Spires kicked it out of bounds at about the 8, I think. But I wanted him to go for it. What does the player feel? Does the player feel disappointed? Offensive lineman, I guess. We can get this. We need to punt, or what is the general feeling? I know maybe each situation is different, but just kind of in general.
You're right. Every situation is different, but I do think that the coach, when you go to meet with your guys on the sidelines after each series, if it's a touchdown or if it's a 3 and out, the coaches, they're gauging, they're looking at their guy, they're looking in your eyes and they're saying, maybe today's not the day that we go for it on 4th and 1. That's reality. That they are adjusting every single series, and they're also adjusting based on what they hear from their guys coming off the field, what they hear from what they see from their guys coming off the field. So I think every situation's different. And, 4th and 1, we can all say, hey, let's go for it. If it's at the 40-yard line, and there's all these statistics that the NFL has a stat guy sitting up in the roof somewhere that says, hey, go for it on, 4th and 2 at the 37-yard line. At the end of the day, it's really about the Jimmies and the Joes, and it's about if your guys are in it to win it that day, your coach knows it. Your coach will go for it on 4th and 1 or 4th and 2, even. Obviously you're not going to go for it on 4th and 1 to 20-yard line, your own 20-yard line, but sometimes coaches do it.
Yeah,
hey,
no
we know we can get it. We got a good play in the bag. We've used it against our own defense in practice because a lot of times, those plays we practice them against good on good.
Yeah.
During the week, and hey, if it worked against them, pretty dang good defense. Yeah, probably pretty good.
Probably
pretty
work.
good chance you're gonna get it.
No doubt. We're talking with former Clemson offensive lineman Brandon Pilgrim, who's joining us tonight on the Sluggo Show. Now, I heard a comment from Dabo. And Casey, I don't mean to hog this, but I got an offensive lineman in front of me here. Dabo said after the game that the game plan didn't change because DJ was quarterbacking versus Trevor. Now, again, I've never been an offense coordinator, never been a college coach, but I noticed something, and this is one of my things that I harp on every week. Casey can attest to this, is when Trevor's back there, they throw like 9 passes, and they to start the game. I know it's probably scripted, right? And they throw 9 passes, and they hand it off to ETN one time, and so DJ starts, and they hand it off to ETN, they hand it off to ETN, they hand it off to ETN, throw a short pass. So was that just coach speak? Am I missing it, or maybe that was just a game plan for this week?
No, I think a little bit was coach speak. Let's face it. Now, Dabo is one of the straighter shooters in the game, honestly. What he feels when you hear his interview, he's probably telling most of that to his players. Now, he's not telling all of it. Hey, the whole Roy bus thing a couple years ago, let's face it, he wasn't going back to the meeting room and saying, hey, guys, we ain't worth a crap. He was saying, look, you guys have been doing good. So I think some of it is coach speak. But you still a freshman quarterback at 18 years old, you have to adjust, or he's going to have zero confidence going into the 3rd and 4th quarter. You might as well just put him out there and say, good luck, guys, and see what happens. And yeah, you can't do that with an 18-year-old kid. I don't care where you are, who you are, what team you are. 18 years old, and I say kid because
he's a kid.
He's an 18-year-old kid. He's still a kid. But as an offensive lineman, it puts a little pressure on you. It puts a little pressure on the running back too. The running backs, hey, ETN's good, but he's got to step his game up even more just to say the more is on his shoulders to be in the huddle and helping his QB, who's a true freshman that may get a play call wrong, or he may call out the wrong linebacker on whatever, a run play or a pass play, and he's got to snatch him up and say, look, man, get it together, let's go, next series, get your stuff together, let's go. So
yeah, and especially recently, right? The last couple of games, we started out the ball game. It's like you just know Amari's going to get the ball on a quick pass. It's just I could call that play, and I'm not a football coach by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah. And then it didn't happen on Saturday, and it was like, okay, hold on. One thing I just want to ask your opinion. I think you and I were texting a little bit about it on Saturday, but and we got a little intel from JP Priester from Clemson, allclemson.com. Thank you. About DJ not running, because especially Tony Elliott came out and said that he didn't change the game plan, right? But the game plan with Trevor would have been a little more RPOs and some quarterback runs. That's part of the Clemson offense. We didn't see DJ do a lot of that. Yes, he scored the 25-yard touchdown, right? You think there was more to it? Do you think it was the shoulder? Do you think, or they just didn't want to run him to risk him?
I honestly, Casey, until you and I were texting and you had mentioned the shoulder, I forgot that he was out in Georgia Tech. They kept him out for Georgia Tech game, and I thought, well, that has something to do with it, because while you want to get his confidence going and you want to say, hey, let him go and let him play, there's a little bit of hesitation when you say, because the drop, Tyson Pumachan, good quarterback. You know, not taking anything away from him, but let's face it, when you go to third string, that somebody that hasn't played, then your whole, you might as well blow up your whole game plan, and you really have to make some changes because you didn't practice him with the ones during the week,
right?
Like DJ got to at least one or two days. So I still am under the impression that when you get Trevor Lawrence running the ball and he's on the RPOs, or you call some quarterback power stuff, I'm under the impression that it drives Trevor Lawrence. We don't know that about DJ Uiagalelei. Say it right, please. It's Uiagalelei. It's not Lele.
I'm just calling him DJ. Let's be honest.
or DJU to try and
yeah, there you go, DJU. That'll work.
Yeah, we're speaking with former Clemson offensive lineman Brandon Pilgrim. Brandon, we'll only keep you a couple minutes. I had one more question for you, then we'll get your prediction on the Notre Dame game. You're talking about DJ, 6'4", 6'5", 250. What, as an offensive lineman in 2003, what was your playing weight and height? How tall are you, and what was your playing?
I was 6'5" and a little over 300. So I was 305,
okay.
310, 300, somewhere around there, depending on how many sprints I had to run, based on how much weight I had lost that day.
It's funny because you look back, like when I was at Clemson, and he's big as some of the linemen were back then, especially on the defensive, a defensive end. He was, they were like 250, some of them lighter than that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, even a little bit before me, the linemen were probably like 250, 260, maybe 270. I mean, we had guys. I played Barry Richardson was the right tackle who I played beside, and he was a year younger than me. I mean, you talk about a big human being. I mean, he was like 6'7", 350, and 350. That's like when he was on a diet.
He wore it well, yeah.
Yeah. He was more like 360. He was a big human being. So you go from that, from 270 to that to 360. I mean, that's a whole person almost bigger. It's just wild. It's wild. But that's how they all are now. They're all 330 and 310 and 320 and 6'5" and 6'6".
It's funny because when I was around, the fridge was a freak for being 300 pounds. Now somebody on the line under 300 is undersized, right?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. It's wild. I mean, the game's changed. We all see it. We all know it. And bigger, stronger, faster. And, people start training when they're 9 years old instead of, 14, 15 when I started really getting into it. So to me, I think that's the major factor in it.
Okay, we're going to put you on the hot seat now. Now I got some Clemson, some beat writers and media people coming up. They're going to give their prediction on the game. But and of course, Casey, Zach, and I are going to pick it in a few minutes. But before all that happens, guess who gets to go first and pick the game?
No pressure.
Clemson's obviously going to have a freshman making his first road start at Notre Dame Saturday. No Skalski. No Tyler Davis. Who else is missing? Half the defense is out. Right? Mike Jones is out.
Yeah, Mike Jones is out. Yep.
So prediction and score if you want to, or you can just give us a prediction. Clemson was 5.5-point favorite, I believe, last we heard.
So I'll give you the prediction. I think we're going to win by 7. I do think that if our defense shows any life in them at the beginning of the game compared to last weekend, I think we'll beat them by 10 or 14. I honestly, you look at DJ, he played a heck of a game. What else can you ask from an 18-year-old kid but to throw or to have 3 touchdowns and 400 yards or whatever it was, 300 and something yards. I mean, you can't ask anything else from an 18-year-old kid that has never played. He never started. I mean, he's played, but he's never started. That's a whole different ball game when you're starting. And he'll be fine. And actually, I think the future's bright too with him. He's got an arm. He's got legs.
Oh my God, he's great.
Does he ever?
Mm-hmm.
Well. Here's the thing, and I mean, he wasn't starting. Excuse me, Casey, for Rutgers or or whoever. He was starting for one of the top 3 programs in the nation when the pressure was on. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Trevor wasn't coming to the rescue Saturday.
It was all on him. When you find that out, what was it, Wednesday or Thursday? He found that out. Yeah, you start to sweat a little bit more than you would if normally going into a game of being a second string. Just let's face it, everybody's done it. But your ultimate goal is, if you're a competitor, you want to be a first stringer, and hey, all eyes are on me. Put it on me. I'll take you there. And he did a heck of a job.
Well, unless you're multitasking, your wife is worried about the defense.
Yeah.
We appreciate Lynn too. So thank you, Lynn Pilgrim, for watching with us too.
Hey, Brandon, we're talking with Brandon Pilgrim, former Clemson offensive lineman, 2003, 2007, blocked for Thunder and Lightning, which Casey didn't neglected to tell me, but that's cool. Brandon, we appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
Hey, when you get off with us, please hop in the comments and heckle Zach.
Yep, absolutely, 100%. I'll do it. I appreciate it, guys. Hey,
thanks.
The show, man.
Appreciate it.
I will watch weekly.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you, Brandon.
Thanks, Brandon.
All right, man.
All right, Casey. Before we get to Zach Locks Parker, I wanted to also bring up the Chop and Beef show, which is your main gig, your side gig. I don't know which one is which, but that's okay. I'm just happy to have you here on Wednesdays. So why don't you tell us about Chop and Beef?
Sure. Just it's my baby is what I call it. It's kind of my love child, for lack of a better phrase. I started it because my friends told me that I had way too much stupid college football information in my mind, and I needed to get it out in the ether. So I grabbed a couple of my buddies and said, "Hey, why don't you jump on with me, and we'll do a grown-up edition of college football game, or college game day, if you will." And so that's what we do. It's not safe for work. We definitely speak our mind. I usually go off on rants every week. I call it Beef's Beef, but have a couple great partners in JJ in Tampa and Zach Locks Parker as my co-hosts. So we have a lot of fun. We don't take ourselves seriously at all. It's definitely the antithesis of this show, as far as we talk in a lot of cliches. We mispronounce words and players' names. Some on purpose, some not on purpose, but we have a lot of fun. We make fun of each other. We talk college football, other things. We'll do taste tests. We'll do whatever else you need. So we have a lot of fun. So thank you for plugging it on this show.
Absolutely. I mean, that's how we connected, right? I somehow stumbled over the Chop and Beef and said, "What in the heck is this?" But it's grown on me. It really has. And it's something. If it's not out on Thursday night, I'm like, "What is Casey doing? Is he here?"
We don't have the great producer on that show like we do on this show. So there's definitely, you hear some start and stops of my recording feature and buttons. So I add music. I love music. I love adding it to it. I don't own the rights to any of the music. I have to start saying that because another show I watched got shut down the other day. So I don't want to be that person. So yeah, I need to be a little more cognizant. I usually only play about a snippet of the song. So
I don't know, but your persona is totally different on that show, and it's really, really cool for me to hear. So
it's a character, man. That's what I like to say. All three of us are kind of different characters, and we complement each other pretty well.
And speaking of a
Don't
character,
think you could have done any worse if you tried.
Oh, I take that as a victory.
These guys aren't doing research, so why should I? Beef, you stink the most.
A true believer in what they're doing in North Carolina. That's why I'm picking Virginia Tech, Tennessee.
I love Spencer Rattler.
I agree with Marty.
I don't like this.
Look, you smell it, the backdoor cover.
there he is, the man, the myth, the legend, Doc Locks. Zach, what's up?
Not much. The doc is not in this week. I'm afraid I'm just going to go straight Clemson shirt, business trip this week up to Notre Dame.
All right. Speaking of business trips, we need to do some work.
Don't do it. Don't show it. Don't show it. All right, show it.
You don't have to, but you can.
The fans need to know where we.
They know, Marty.
Oh, so I am 21, 22, and 2. I'm slight, I'm the kid in the pool who's taking a mouthful of water and needs some help getting up to the top and getting out of the pool. Zach, you've taken a whole mouthful, maybe two.
Yeah.
You're drowning. Casey, man, they don't even need to call the EMS. Just call the coroner because this thing is over.
I've been in that lake for 3 days.
Beef can attest. I'm not much of a swimmer.
We got stories.
We do.
Tune into the Child and Beef Show tomorrow night. We'll have that story.
Well,
Guys, saved my life.
I'm glad I could fill your agenda.
Sorry.
Your chopping beef agenda, and I'll be sure to tune in. And there's probably Brandon. I don't know. Maybe it's Brandon or the wife. We don't know who's chiming in there. Oh no, Casey, is that true?
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Hey guys, we got 5 games to screw up this week, but I got good news. We're going to get help on one of them, on the biggest game that interests us. I've gotten 3 of Clemson media to chime in and tell us what they think before we pick that game, right? So we can get some help because Lord knows if you saw the standings, we need help. The first 4, though, we have to do on our own. The first game up is Michigan, 3-point favorite at Indiana. A lot of road teams are favored this week. 3 road favorites out of these 5 games. Michigan at Indiana. The Facebook group chose Michigan. Chose 67% Indiana. The random selector. I'm giving you guys extra information here. The random pick said Indiana. And it is, of course, as always, it's Casey the Beef Cregan. Not as always, just seems that way. Casey, you're up first. Who you got, bud?
If I ever pull out of the basement, we have to rename it. Like the first pick is the beef pick. Just I don't know, something.
Somebody will sponsor it.
I picked these games for us to pick tonight, and I didn't look at who we were picking until right now, which is good because I'm leading off the show. I just don't trust Michigan, man. So I'll do it quick here. I'm going to do Indiana as well, and I don't know why because this has a smell of Michigan winning by 20. I'll do Indiana.
Zach Locks Parker, who you got?
This is for me a heart versus head pick here because I'm a big Indiana guy. That Penn State game, I watched a lot of it. Really kind of got me pumped up. I heard an interview that Marty Smith did with the Indiana coach this week. Man, he seems like a real good dude. They're just the feel good story so far. But to me, I just think Michigan's lines are going to end up beating the tar out of Indiana through the game, and they'll pull through and cover the 3-point spread here. So give me Michigan in this one.
We're off to a pretty good start here because I'm going to agree with Zach and go against Casey. Shocker, right? Michigan's 10-0 straight up in their last 10 versus Indiana. Now they're only 1-1 in the last 3 against the spread, but likely those were much larger spreads than this 3 points, right?
Right.
If you think Michigan's going to win and it's only a 3-point spread, I think that odds are they're going to cover. So I am also going to take Michigan. Second game up is Florida and Georgia. Despite what some others think, this is not a home and home series. This is in Jacksonville, and we are going to go to Zach Locks Parker. Who you got, Zach?
Yeah, down in Jacksonville, the annual cocktail party that we're not allowed to call a cocktail party anymore. Kyle Trask has passed for 4 touchdowns, at least 4 touchdowns in each game this season, but he's going up against a serious defense this week. But as Brandon was saying earlier, wow, has Georgia's offense just fallen off the map. Stetson Bennett, I'll just go ahead and say it. He's terrible. He's just not good. He's very bad. Against Kentucky, 9 of 13 with 2 interceptions. They threw the ball 13 times. That's it. Just for that, last year's game was also pretty evenly matched. Georgia won by 7 points. This year, I think Florida's going to get them, and I'm going to take Florida here for sure.
It's Florida for Zach Locks Parker. Casey the Beef Cregan, you're up.
I'm going Florida as well. I just don't know what's going on in the quarterback position for Georgia. did read a couple of fans from Georgia already blaming the officials. Game hasn't even started yet. So they're getting themselves ready and primed up. It is always a good game, man. I don't know why this game is good. Sometimes Georgia can come in and they're riding high. They're ranked third. They pull out a 3-point victory. It's a great game in Jacksonville. Great scene. A lot of fun. If you get a chance to go, I highly suggest it when you're allowed to again. But I'm picking Florida here as well.
And our previous guest, Brandon Pilgrim, takes Florida. He's questioning maybe double digits. Hey, Georgia's 5-4-1 versus Florida against the spread in the last 10. The Gators are 3-6, the last 9 straight up against Georgia, but they didn't have Stetson Bennett, the 42nd at quarterback, I guess. Georgia's 7-3 is a favorite in the last 10. Now, I was worried when this was 3.5, but it's only 3. So I'm going to go Oppo and take Georgia. I don't know how, but I think they cover. I think they cover and win. I always wonder about how they're going to score, but their defense could score 7 or 14, on their own. Now, Florida may outscore them. This was a weird game to choose because usually I look at the quarterback, and Trask appears to be much better, but I don't trust that guy for some reason. I don't know. Against the Georgia defense, Kyle Trask, I don't know. Don't trust him. I'm going to take Georgia. All right. Next up is Stanford and Oregon. And that is, what is the spread there? I believe it's 10 points, and it is 10 points. Stanford is traveling to Oregon. These teams are 5-5 straight up and against the spread in the last 10 games. I think it's a toss-up, but I'm going to take the home team, and I'm going to take Oregon to cover the 10 points. Casey the Beef Cregan.
Yeah, Oregon seems to be the hot play, right, in the Pac-10, Pac-12, Pac-19, whatever they are, in week 1. So you never know what happens in first week of the season. I'm going Oregon as well.
All right. He goes Oregon. Zach Locks Parker.
Yeah, make a clean sweep here. We don't know enough yet. I mean, this is their first game, but just by the pundits saying it's either going to be Oregon or USC winning that league, a lot of people are even saying that Oregon could sweep and qualify for the playoffs. So I'm just going to stick with them and roll with them. Stanford didn't look that great last year from what I can recall. So I'll take Oregon to cover the 10.
All right. And Lynn Pilgrim is checking in, or maybe it's Brandon, and they confused the heck out of me. The Georgia coach will find a way to F it up. And you know what? That's kind of my thought process too. I appreciate that because we can expect maybe a fake punt on 4th and 68 from his own 1 or something. Who the heck knows? Okay, next up. Texas A&M at South Kakalaki. 7.5-point favorite. I don't even know who goes first here, fellas. Let me see. Whoops. Who goes first?
Beef's two favorite teams.
It's the Beef. Random. Yeah. 94% said A&M on our Facebook page, or big shocker, right? And the random generator said Texas A&M also. So Beef, who you got?
Yeah, I thought I had South Carolina figured out after they beat Auburn, and then come and lay an egg against LSU, and then LSU lays an egg against Auburn, and it's just SEC football, right, Locks? So I don't know what Kellen Mond is either. They kind of showed up a little bit last week too, so I'm gonna go because I like Isaiah Spiller, Texas A&M to cover, because I can't pick the Gamecocks twice in a season. Just can't do it. So it doesn't matter if even if you put it on there again and they're playing I don't know who, I'm not picking them ever again.
All right.
A man of conviction.
Yeah, no, ever.
And that's solid gambling advice. I don't know. I just can't pick them.
I don't know why I even put it on there, just because of our group, I guess. I put it on there,
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. We get a lot of comments when you put South Carolina on there. All right. Zach Locks Parker, who you got?
Believe it or not, I had USC circled here, but I changed it to A&M myself. A&M is 6-0 all the time versus USC. USC is coming off a bye, and they have played them close at home before, but I think A&M is starting to wake up a little bit on the offensive side of the ball. I know, we tease on Kellen Mond a lot, but the Spiller kid's good. If USC does want to go ahead and try and key in him, they have other weapons too. So I think A&M will cover the spread here on this one.
All right. Well, I'm feeling pretty good because I'm going opposite you guys on some of these picks. I think 7.5 is too much. It was 9.5 when it started out, and I was hoping it was going to stick there at 9.5, and it didn't do that. But I am going to go with South Carolina here, shock the world, and go South Carolina for the second time this year, I think. So I don't know. What's that make me? A coot, a chicken, something, one of those things. All right. The final game here is Clemson and Notre Dame. Clemson is a 5.5-point favorite. I'm going to go first on this one, but before I go first, this is the one I said we get some help on, fellas. Now, we're lucky enough to have three guys who decided to help us out here, and they all have various experience picking games with various levels of success. First up, from the Morgan Thomas Show, he's been a guest on this show and a guy we really like, but he trimmed his beard and started wearing a collar, and so I'm starting to second guess if he's ever coming back on. It's Houston Burnett.
Tigers taking on Notre Dame on Saturday in South Bend. The Tigers are going to win. I'm telling you, to all the Clemson fans out there, no reason to worry. No reason to be alarmed. DJ Uiagalelei, he's just getting started. The defense, if you remember, kind of got things figured out in the second half on Saturday. Tigers win the game by at least 10 points. Calling it now.
Double digits for Houston. Now, I'm not sure if he knew that half the defense was going to be out before he made that pick, because I forced him to do it on Tuesday, I believe, or it might even be Monday. But so sorry, Houston. But he's going.
Love the Greenville Braves hat he had on, though. I love that.
He's going double digits with his collar and trimmed up beard. Next up, Jason Priester also has been a guest on the show from allclemson.com. Jason was kind enough to spend a few minutes with me yesterday, and here's his take on the Clemson-Notre Dame game.
It's the big one, Clemson-Notre Dame. Clemson's got close to reaching that breaking point from an injury standpoint, but I think they're going to get most of those guys that back this week. I think Tyler Davis is back. I think Mike Jones Jr. is back. That's two big keys on that defense, especially when you're talking about this Notre Dame offense that loves to run the ball. If you can stop that running game, you're going to have success against Notre Dame. I think that's exactly what's going to happen, and I think the Tigers come away with a win. Not a big one, but a win.
Okay, he said not a big win, and that was with all those defensive starters back. So, Jason, if you're in the comments, let me know what your new prediction is, if it changed at all. And finally, this guy I've actually broken Texas barbecue with. It was somewhere north of 300 degrees, not the barbecue outside when we did it. It was the day of the night before the Texas A&M game, Clemson, when they played here in Texas. Brandon stopped in. Brandon Rink of TigerNet has been a good friend for years and years and years, helped put Seldom Used Reserve on the map. And it ended up, I was going to treat him because he's coming to Texas. And, that whole Texas got to be nice thing. Got to. Brandon's family ended up buying me the barbecue. So he's good people. Brandon Rink of TigerNet has a prediction also.
Two things I'm looking for in this game is how willing is Clemson to run its young quarterback. It looked like maybe they were trying to protect him a little bit last week after some shoulder issues that kept him out the week before. Clemson's offense is at its best in these type of games with the quarterback as a weapon. And then how does Clemson's defense do at the line of scrimmage against a veteran, effective Notre Dame offensive line? The Tigers' elite talent and game planning gets the edge overall, but in a game with big implications for the home team, I anticipate a close game. I'm saying 27-23 Tigers.
Now, Brandon even gave us a score, so pretty cool. And he said it's 1,000. He was Brandon Pilgrim says it was 1,000 degrees at Texas that day, or Texas A&M. Yeah, it was warm that weekend. I do remember that. I'm up first on this game. So we have three opinions from everybody. Everybody picked Clemson. Now, Jason thought that the defensive guys would be back. So I took this game early, and Brandon Pilgrim said he thought they'd win by 7, and it was 6, and it came out at 3. I was telling Casey, get it. Well, it didn't stay at 3 for like 2 seconds.
It wasn't that long, was it?
Yeah, it wasn't there long at all, but it jumped up to 6.5, and I still took it because I think Clemson wins by 7 to 10 points. I think Clemson's just a better team. But here's the deal. I would take the under. These teams none of them seem to have any explosive players, right? I mean, DJ could, and I mean, obviously Travis is an explosive player, but we talked about the run blocking earlier. I'm expecting a low scoring game, which puts my 5.5 point margin in danger there. But I'm thinking something like 24-17, 24-16. It's going to be closer game to me, but I'm going to take Clemson and lay the 5.5 points. Casey the Beef Cregan.
Yeah, this, you know me, I'm the pessimistic Clemson fan, right? But this has the feeling for me of a Miami, and where I know Notre Dame's offensive line is really good. I know their defense is championship defense. That's what Mike Golick Jr. said tonight on radio. I just think that this is a smack you in the mouth, and I know there's players missing, and I know they probably would have sent Skalski on the first blitz, but maybe it's Brandon Spector or Balin Spector, excuse me. Maybe it's Balin Spector they send on the first blitz, hit Book in the mouth and kind of throw that punch. I just have that feeling, and then it's going to be a 30-3 kind of game. I don't know if that's true. I just think Clemson covers comfortably, but I've been wrong all season, so I'm probably wrong again.
Great. That's great to hear, Casey. The part about being wrong all season. Zach Locks Parker, wrap it up for us.
All right. I'm amazed at Ian Book being an all-world quarterback, as they started off the season saying the most he has thrown in a game is 31 times. He's going to have to throw it more than 31 times this time, because they're going to key on the run like crazy and try and stack the box. Whether he can connect on those passes, I mean, he only threw it 26 times versus Georgia Tech. One of those passes was over 20 yards versus Georgia Tech. So, he's not an elite quarterback, even though everyone talks about he is. He is the ultimate game manager there, Casey. I think our freshman quarterback is better than a seasoned Ian Book. I think our defensive coordinator is the best in the nation. And whatever happens in the first half and the second half, he'll change it up and take it over. I got Clemson by double digits, whether that be 10 or 20. But I think they're going to dominate them in this game. Notre Dame is very, very one-dimensional, and you'll see that come out on Saturday night, I think. And plus, I have an aunt, 2 uncles, and 3 cousins that went to Notre Dame. So Clemson better win this game.
Or you'll hear about it for a year.
Yes.
One stat that I heard before we came on tonight is Clemson has never beaten a top 5 opponent on the road. They're 0-12 all time.
Okay. And Brandon Pilgrim's in the comments again saying points against Louisville, and that's correct. That's a game I saw a good bit of. I also actually watched Notre Dame and Georgia Tech the other day, where they were slow and pedestrian looking. There's that word again, pedestrian looking on offense. It was ugly. I mean, they scored 31. The defense looked good, but it was Georgia Tech. But Clemson beat that Georgia Tech team 73-7. Notre Dame had 17 at halftime.
Yeah.
I mean,
yes, I've read something too. It may have been Morgan Thomas put something on the Seldom Used Reserve page tonight that it was a good article, and he got it from somewhere. But Notre Dame's plan is to do these long, drawn-out, methodical 15-play drives and score and kind of keep away, right? So are they going to be able to do that against Clemson with the defense that they throw out there? I still don't think that they will be able to. I would have loved Tyler Davis to be there to eat up 2 of those guys in the middle and let those 2 young bucks, Brzee and Miles Murphy, eat. But I think KJ Henry's still going to have a lot of luck this weekend. I also think the linebackers, whoever they may be, Venables, Spector, whoever else they throw up there, Trenton Simpson, I think they're going to be okay too. Heck, they're going to throw safety. That hair of Landon Sanders is going to come off the edge a couple times. I think they really have to hit Book early and stop that run. And it's not a lot of misdirection runs. It seems to be they trust their offensive line. Maybe some off tackles and up the A gap. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I trust the defense, and I don't think the offense is an issue.
Yeah. That's how Notre Dame plays. The game against Georgia Tech, again, it was a Georgia Tech defense. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't the steel curtain from the 70s. They had the first drive of the game was 9.5 minutes or something. And, it took 14 plays. And you kind of go, well, why did it take you 14 plays to score in Georgia Tech? There was 3-yard passes and 5-yard runs, and that was about it. Book overthrew people, and I don't know. And that kind of offense, you have to be mistake free, and good luck being mistake free against a Brent Venables defense is that's kind of how I look at it.
He's going to be multiple. He's going to throw it from all different angles and all different. You don't know where it's coming from most of the time. Yeah, I trust the defense. I trust those kids, especially the young kids that got a lot of run last week with these injuries. They're just getting more and more seasoned. So I don't know. I'm talking myself into a 20-point victory here.
174-6. We got them. All right, let me go over these picks real quick. Casey the Beef Cregan takes Indiana, Florida, Oregon, Texas A&M, and Clemson. I took Michigan, Georgia, Oregon, South Carolina, and Clemson. The Doc Locks takes Michigan, Florida, Oregon, Texas A&M, and Clemson. Does that sound right, folks?
Yep,
All
you're
right.
very different, and Locks and I are one different. So
yeah,
like 5-0 to me.
For somebody. The rando picks.
Random picks will get 5-0.
Indiana, Georgia, Oregon, Texas A&M, and Clemson. Last week they were, I believe, I don't remember I think they were 4-1.
4-1.
12-13 on the season. So the rando picks are doing better than Casey, and they're giving Zach a run for his money. They're giving all of us. They're only 1 under 500 too. What am I talking about?
Yeah, they're tied for the lead right now.
Like I'm some big Las Vegas bigwig right here with a losing record, right? All right, before we get out of here, fellas, next week we're going to have Drew Watts on from the Twin Tigers podcast, and I'm going to announce where my interesting jar of money goes to. It's going to be a not-for-profit, and how you can participate and help me with the not-for-profit, and it won't cost you a cent, you being anybody listening or commenting. Once again, we want to thank Brandon Pilgrim for joining the show, Houston Burnett of the Morgan Thomas Show, Jason Priester of allclemson.com, Brandon Rink of TigerNet for joining us and doing the little cameos. Guys took time out of their week in the middle of the day to get on and see my ugly face and spend 30 whole seconds with me, and I sincerely appreciate that. All the commenters, the viewers, anybody who listens on the podcast version, thank you. We don't do this enough. We don't say it enough, but we all three thank you. Casey, you got anything?
Yeah, I just to echo what you just said, we appreciated all of it. I said it the other day, Saturday after the game, in our live post-game report that we did. I really appreciate the interactivity of this show. I mean, we love Justin Lineweaver. We love getting Lynn Pilgrim in there today, Brandon, to come on the show with us, but always commenting. Mike Kane out in Oregon, thanks so much for commenting. We want more of it, so keep them coming. Keep and like we try to do, we try to interact with it, right? And you always see my face because I'm always reading it first. So Nelson's always there for a laugh too. So we really do appreciate it. We appreciate everybody listening, wherever you're listening. If you're listening to the podcast version or listening to or watching our mugs, and so you can see my shirts each week. And so thanks so much. We'll keep doing it if you keep listening, and if you don't keep listening, we'll still keep doing it. So.
And even Doc Locks has one fan. Do you want to hug Nelson there, Zach, or what's up?
Absolutely. We go way back. Yes, we've been in contact, and we talk every day, if not every other day, for sure. So great. And yeah, I know I picked Notre Dame at the beginning of the season, Nelson. I saw him play. What can I say?
Oh, so much fun. Hey, guys, it's always fun to talk to you. You guys have a great weekend. I know we'll be on the text come 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern over the weekend. So always appreciate talking to you guys. And again, Brandon Pilgrim, thank you so much for your time. And Mrs. Pilgrim, thanks for chiming in and getting a shot in or two. See you guys next week.
Take care.
I think that sounds pretty good.